Kutv Primetime News. Indeed, we have much and more lined up for you this particular evening, including our top discussion tonight, where we take a look at the Haiti mission. Remember, since the assassination of Jovenel, that is Moise, the president of Republic of Haiti, there has been political instability in the Haiti nation, and of course rocked with violence that are perpetrated by the gang, and of course aid has been something that is far and wide in between. So the country has struggled, and that's why now the current prime minister has actually sent the distressed call to United Nations to actually chip in and help resolve the issue that is currently ongoing in the Haiti nation. That call has been met, and of course President William Ruto has received the distress call and decided to act upon it, and that is what is forming the basis of our discussion tonight. So today we are taking a look at three critical areas. That is the big question: who actually made the call, bearing in mind that Haiti has no official functioning parliament? That is one question that we'll actually be taking a look at it. And does Kenya actually has the capacity to actually deal with the ongoing, rather let's call them the terrorists in Haiti? Remember, they have already assassinated 5 presidents, if I can count correctly. So does Kenya has what it takes to actually end this madness? That is another question that we'll be taking a look at it. Then another area that is very critical: why the national police and not the defense forces? Very big question. And of course, to help us unpack this will be Byron Adera, that is the ex-Kenya Special Forces and Special Forces officer and security expert. That discussion will be coming to you in just a while. But first thing first, our top stories tonight. Tonight, reorganizing the cabinet. Ruto reshuffle his cabinet. Moses Kuria and Alfred Mutuari assigned as Prime CS office expanded to accommodate the foreign affairs docket. Where is Kindiki? Azimio Chief Raila Odinga wants Parliament to summon Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki over the troubling Sundu killings. Also tonight, International Day for Tutors. Kenyatta University joins the rest of the world in celebrating International World Teachers Day. Plus, and on our special feature tonight, we tell you about the soaring cases of meningitis. It is takeoff time. I'm glad to be a captain tonight. My co-pilot is Sami Okelo. Remember, you can follow this broadcast on all of our social media platforms. We are live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya. You can tweet us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Auma Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. And now we begin our bulletin tonight with matters cabinet reshuffle. President William Ruto's latest reassignment of the cabinet and principal secretaries appear to have both dwindled and flourish the supremacy of various top officials in the government. Analysts link the perceived demotion of the affected cabinet secretaries to previous controversies and lackluster performance. The top officials who appear to be caught in the middle depict a common history of recent gaffe and fallout with the public. Our very own Joseph Oyomo is on that beat tonight.
Reassigned cabinet secretaries are being perceived as either winners or losers in President Ruto's first cabinet reshuffle. The move appears to have dimmed the light of some government executives while brightening that of others. Observers link the perceived demotion of some top cabinet secretaries to the executive's own blunders and questionable performance. CS Moses Kuria is known for holding no prisoners, with his most recent controversial statement appearing to more Kenyans complaining of a sharp increase in prices of petroleum products, with critics terming him as rogue.
Sasa ukishinda kutoka ya asubuhi mpaka jioni, bei ya mafuta imeongezeka, si uchipe kisima yako. Dunia mzima tunajua bei ya crude oil imeenda juu. Na kama wale watu wa Makerere wako na kisima, mimi niko tayari kuchipa kesho.
Dr. Alfred Mutua, who also appears to have fallen through the cracks after being reassigned to tourism sector, had a number of functions stripped off from his foreign affairs docket a few months ago, a move seen as an attempt to give Mr. Ruto's inner circle more influence over diplomatic affairs. In August, President Ruto criticized some of his ministers as clueless.
Again, and as I said on Sunday, those of us who have been given the privilege to serve, do so with humility. Have empathy with the people that you take care of. Respect those under you. Address them with respect and decorum. It costs you nothing.
CS Waome's refusal to suspend Athi Water Works Development Authority CEO Michael Twitter, associated with procurement fraud involving billions of public funds, left her toppling on the accountability balance. And as for Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, the writing is on the wall for the non-performing CEs and those who perpetuate corruption in their ministries. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
Right, let's stay on that story for a bit. Acting on recommendations of the Public Service Commission, President William Ruto has appointed former nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura as the government spokesperson. Mwaura's appointment came as part of the reshuffle made by President William Ruto, affecting 8 ministries. And as Edward Nyamu reports, Mwaura's will be assisted by Mwanaisha Chinzuga and Gabriel Mudhuma as his deputies.
Former nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura has thanked President William Ruto for appointing him as the government spokesperson. Mwaura expressed his gratitude on X account, saying it's an honor to serve in President Ruto's government. Prior to his nomination, Mwaura served as nominated senator before being appointed as Chief Administrative Secretary in the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, a position which was later rendered unconstitutional by the High Court. Mwaura replaces Cyrus Oguna, who resigned to take up the position of Siaya County Chief of Staff. Political analyst Gabriel Mudhuma and former news anchor Mwanaisha Chinzuga will serve as deputy chief government spokespersons. Mudhuma is a policy and government expert who always emphasized government policies that address issues affecting Kenyans. Mudhuma thanked the president on his Twitter page for the appointment to serve his office. Journalist Mwanaisha Chinzuga also expressed her gratitude to the president for her appointment. Mwanaisha is a Swahili news anchor at TV47 and previously worked at K24. She also unsuccessfully contested for the Matungu constituency parliamentary seat in the last election. Some of their responsibilities include advising government officials on public relations and media strategies, disseminating government plans through media outlets, collaborating with government ministries and departments in delivering announcements, monitoring news and public sentiments on government policy and plans, and responding to media inquiries about government's action. Edward Nyamu, KUTV.
Right, still matters reshuffle. Leaders and Kenyans are still reacting to President William Ruto's first cabinet reshuffle. Some of the cabinet secretaries affected have welcomed the new assignment, while others have chosen to remain silent. CS Moses Kuria says he is ready to serve in any ministry and that he remained proud of the contribution to the Ministry of Trade and Industry over his short stint, as Dorothy Musyoka now reports.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi expressed his gratitude and honor in response to his expanded role in the reshuffled cabinet. He wrote, "I am deeply honored and humbled to have been entrusted by His Excellency President William Ruto with an expanded role in the reshuffled cabinet. I express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency for the trust placed in me by assigning me the additional vital role of the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Penina Malonza, who was the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, and now in the Ministry of East African Community, the Asas Region and Regional Development, applauded the move, saying, "I wish to express my gratitude to President William Ruto for entrusting me with an incredible opportunity to serve the people of Kenya in a different capacity following the recent reorganization of the government." Davis Chirchir, Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum, took a political turn, writing, "Moses Kuria's Public Service Ministry placement means he will be working closely with Felix Koskei, the head of Public Service. He will be closely monitored and kept in check. He is now in a straitjacket." Moses Kuria, who was in Garissa today to launch another county industrial park, welcomed his new assignment.
So I leave this ministry with my head high. I'm a very motivated person and I'm very, very proud kwamba at least hii ndoto tukiwa na gavana kama Nadif Jama hapa na mheshimiwa Ndeko hapa haitakufa.
Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei says the changes have balanced the regions and ensured for the first time in Kenya, persons living with disabilities are now part of the government in senior positions. The underlying changes are necessitated by performance. The writing is on the wall for the non-performing cabinet secretaries and those who perpetuate corruption and lethargy in their ministries. President Ruto appears keen on performance, having gone further to make his ministers sign performance contracts. Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
Right, thank you, Dorothy, for that. Now, switching gears, Azimio la Umoja Coalition want Parliament to summon Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki to answer questions on the violent clashes, in Sundu, which have resulted in casualties and injuries. Azimio is particularly uncomfortable with Kindiki's deafening silence. The opposition coalition has linked the skirmishes to the upcoming boundaries delimitations, adding that some influential figures within the government circle may be orchestrating the Kisumu-Kericho border row. Azimio has asked residents from the either side of the border to lay down their arms and reject any form of incitement to violence. This comes as President is expected to begin a tour of Nyanza region beginning tomorrow.
Even a minister in charge of internal security would have gone to the scene to go and see what is happening. The fact that they are all silent and business as usual tells you that there's something that they know that other Kenyans don't know. This is something that cannot be tolerated.
Big names are behind this violence. They include leaders and politicians from neighboring counties and in the national government. We view these latest incidents in Sondu as part of a long, off and on history of violence instigated by politicians.
Right, as the world commemorates World Teachers' Day today, Kenyatta University marked this celebration at the School of Education in an event attended by Vice Chancellor Professor Paul Wainaina. Teachers and other education stakeholders at the event expressed their pride in teachers who are usually the unsung heroes in the sector. Professor Wainaina further lauded KU fraternity for setting high standards in the training of tutors. Ruth Anjiru attended the event and filed the following report.
In an event that brought together the whole Kenyatta University education fraternity, the university's Vice Chancellor Professor Paul Wainaina led in the commemoration of the World Teachers' Day. The celebration started with entertainment from different schools, including the Kenyatta University Academy and Primary School, the Treeside Special School, and also students from the university. The VC later led a tree planting activity and a walk to officially mark the celebrations. In his speech, the VC affirmed that a teacher's job is one that can't be ignored.
This is really a very important day. So mine is to say we recognize this day because we know the kind of work that teachers do.
He further lauded the Kenyatta University teaching fraternity for setting the bar high as the best teaching faculty in the country.
We need to acknowledge what Kenyatta University has done. Having teachers from all over, having teachers from all categories, and we can see when you talk of teachers, Kenyatta University is always at the pinnacle.
The shortage of teachers was the focus of this year's celebration, with it being apparent that much needs to be done to bridge the gap of teacher to student ratio.
To address the shortage of teachers, we need to invest in them and recognize their contribution to society. We need to elevate teaching profession by offering teachers continuous professional development, promotion, and improved working conditions.
We will reflect on some of the challenges teachers are facing today and what needs to be done to attract, retain, and motivate teachers to reverse teacher shortage.
As Kenyatta University marks its 9th World Teachers Celebrations, the university prides itself in having 3 education faculties which are among the best performing in the country. Ruth Wanjiru for KU TV.
Right, it is 17 minutes past the hour. Time to take our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, plenty more to follow after this break, including our discussion of the day. See you in just a bit.
Fashionistas, get ready to level up your style game. Tune in to Fashion Diaries every Monday at 8 p.m. with me, Ashley Asach. From Kia Hills to slit suits, we've got the trends that will make you shine. Don't be left out. Join us for a fashion-filled adventure.
You were kind enough to send me pictures of the two of you together before you went on tour.
Listen, she was playing games with us.
She loves you. She nearly had your baby, Dylan, which means you weren't being careful.
But she tricked me into that.
Sure, your problem. I'm not going to be part of this love triangle anymore. So please, leave.
Nagging that drove me away from you and made me fall for another woman who has twice your beauty and half your age. So stop blaming me.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa
kwa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Right, welcome back, and just in case if you're joining us right now, this is now the time for our big discussion tonight, and you're just right on time. So there has been ongoing, of course, talks around the streets that has involved a lot of Kenyans and even the civil society group, some actually opposing the decision by President William Ruto to actually, send, or rather Kenya is planning to send at least 1,000 soldiers or other police officers to Haiti to help in peacekeeping mission and to restore sanity and try to help the Haiti nation back to its track. But those are some of the things that we'll be taking count of with my guest here, that is Byron Adera, that is the ex-Kenya Special Forces and officer and security expert. But before that, Kenyans have been reacting, giving their views on the concerning matters and what they think. And this is what they had to say. Take a look.
We have a lot of problems back at home that also needed to be solved. We have insecurity problems in several parts of the country. And we would, as ordinary citizens, would have wanted our government to solve the internal security problems before they jump onto solving problems outside our country, and more so problems outside the continent of Africa.
It's not a bad idea. It would help with our relations with them, and well, I hope that something good and something constructive can come out of our government and their government also, having that kind of friendship and having that kind of relation with each other where they can rely on each other and help each other.
That is so proud about Kenyan, because number one, it gives exercise to our army to exercise their power. Number two, it shows how so friendly we have to show other country the power we have. Number three, it gives us mandate to go and execute our power there, to show people in the other world that this country belong to God. We are so powerful.
It is a bad idea because considering our economy right now, and we have to facilitate the police to go to Haiti, I think it's quite a bad idea. We should have merged resources as Africa, so that we could send a few from each country to Haiti. That would have made sense. But Kenya sending 1,000 police is a bad idea.
The problem, we didn't really, the president have not yet given us the really crucial matter why he's taking the trip to the place. And those people are criminal, because somebody who can kill the president and our people have no experience for it, it needs a very big explanation for the president to give us the place to take our people there. Because maybe when he take the people there, all things, if they be killed, all of them, then it's a very burden for our Kenya people.
Right, those are some of mixed reactions from Kenyans regarding the ongoing discussion about the Haiti mission. And of course, that was done by our partner broadcast, that is VOA. And of course, helping me to divert into this particular discussion is Byron Adera, and he's already here in the house. Thank you so much for making time.
Welcome, Mr. Uma. And, thank you so much for hosting me on this nice station, KUTV.
Right. Well, I want us to dive into this particular discussion. And of course, it has evoked a lot of reaction from Kenyans, and clearly you can see there is some sort of mixed reaction. So what is your take on this, Kenya and the Haiti mission?
Well, the sample that we've pretty much listened to, and the concerns and the opinions that are shared in by Kenyans, taking that sample as a representative feeling of the general populace. It's interesting, and ideally in every situation you'd expect divergent views and opinions, and I would say for that matter that's expected, and they're all valid concerns. Right. Remember the National Police Service individuals, the ladies and gentlemen that are serving within the service itself, from families, and so first of all they are citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Okay. And the unifying factor is the President of the Republic of Kenya, and that is Dr. William Samoei Ruto. And when he goes out there, he carries the burdens and the aspirations, the dreams of each and every individual that's resident within the territorial borders of the Republic of Kenya. But then we are also alive to the fact that Kenya is not an island. It's the country Kenya is not alone in the global space. So what we are being greeted with right about now is the president has gone out there in the expeditions and he's seen a problem that's existing worlds away, and he's seen, can we stick our neck out? And that's why you're seeing these reactions. When you go to elections, we elect a figurehead, so to speak, and that's rightfully now the president. All right. So the aspirations of a country are such that each and every individual that either exercise their right to vote or not to vote are represented by the unifying factor, the unifying figure. Right. But then you would expect even those who agreed through the ballot and those who disagreed as well, the aspirations are carried, and of course even their opinions. Okay. That said, this is to be expected in terms of people's divergent views and opinions, and they're all valid from several perspectives. Even from where I sit as a security expert and someone who served within the space of security. To start with, those who are disagreeing with that, their valid points are such that even when they are not themselves directly involved, they could be having sisters, brothers, breadwinners, and they're watching this space and they're digging through a world of experience, having also seen what's going on within the national security space, and particularly within the community of the National Police Service. And they're saying, are we okay sending them in their capacity as now? Right. And the other opinions are also talking about the problems we have back at home. We all know the good old saying, charity begins at home, right? And so they're watching this and saying, before we go out there to dish the extras, and which means you have to come from a point of full satisfaction before you actually, or a level of satisfaction before you actually can go out there to say, I'm actually well optimized to now do the extra. Do we have problems that still need sorting out? Do we have problems that have had to bring challenges to our NPS, so to speak, within the borders that still need to be addressed, and also to prove themselves that they're able to actually address themselves no problems before they take on to bigger ones? So those are valid concerns. And then for the people that are saying, that's a good move, I also agree that if we have the full confidence that I've seen being exuded by officials here and there as to how our preparedness and capacity to go help a brother out there. Remember, we're in a global village. Right. That would give us the bragging rights in the global space, geopolitically. All the other countries that are watching this space, because Kenya is taking the lead. Okay. If we so succeed, that will give us that bragging rights, and the president as the unifying factor can pretty much now FedEx this elsewhere. Okay. The next could be Ukraine, the next could be some other country, the next could be Uganda, the next could be a South African country, or so the next could be. So that gives us quite some standing in the global space and as a solid ally. That if countries are speaking, talking to the mutuality of interests in terms of pursuits of global interests, be it security, safety, economically, then Kenya will benefit from that. But beyond that as well, you are seeing the trumpet sounding from other nations, and the big brother, so to speak, the US of A, has that confidence that Kenya can do this business. If they know something that we don't know and other people also don't know, then so be it.
All right. Well, you talk about Kenya actually positioning itself as, one of the countries that could actually solve some of the, the security issues.
Yes.
But there is very key question that many are asking. When you look at the Haiti right now, they don't have a functioning government and of course parliament for that matter. And in this case scenario, it is a government that has to request for this sort of help. So who made the call? That is the big question. Even as we take a look at what could actually be possible for Kenya, should the mission itself be a success?
Well, we've seen banana republics, and as I said, we're in a global village, and anything that happens half a world away could as well affect you and I. That insecurity in a different place, as the Americans rightfully said, during the reign of Bush, and of course it got to Obama, later on, and through all these governments, particularly on terrorism, they said terrorism anywhere is terrorism, everywhere. Okay, and that's why all these interests do matter to us. I mean, someone failing to wash their hands and carelessly scratch their nose half a world away meant that corona was able to spread from China, the epicenter, across the globe, and it became a pandemic. They say the only mistake that happens right now in this world, being the global village that we are in, and with the speed of transfer of information and mobility, pretty much human beings are able to move a lot faster and further away. Means that a problem in Haiti could pretty much translate into a problem within the Republic of Kenya if it's not addressed.
Well,
so that's one perspective.
Sorry to cut you short. When you talk about the problem, in Haiti now translating to Kenya, in the spirit of brotherhood, well, when you look at things that are happening, and when this is now we take a look at the Constitution, and even when you look at the Police Act, well, when it comes to such mission, maybe many will have thought there is a specialist, or rather a specific field for Kenya Special Forces, like the Kenya Defense Forces. Why the Kenya Police?
Well, I don't speak for the police, and particularly I also don't speak for the president. From where I sit, I look at a number of factors, and I consider other specialist analysis that have gone down into this space. I mean, and the confidence that has been exuded by other quarters. If that were the case, and if it's the case, as we hope it should be, and they are matching, they are tuned to the challenge, the test of the challenge, and it's been seen fit, both in terms of capacity and the kind of the pedigree of men that are going to be selected for this job, and they are confident they can sort this out, good enough. But voices have been raised here and there as to whether we are rushing into something that is not considered adequately, whether we are also transferring some false sense of capacity from one place to another before we actually get our act together. And those are valid concerns. People have raised questions around our thoroughness in understanding exactly what's going on. So you just talked about the lawlessness that's going on there, the gangs that are sprouted, especially after the assassination of the then president, and the fact that there's a lot of chaos that's reigning in Haiti. And as they say, and I'll call on to the studies that have been done in this space of the psychology of criminal conduct, Johann Galtung, or the structural violence theory in 1969. That an organization, or just the way the systems are organized, can actually cause violence if people are prevented from reaching their basic needs. And in Haiti, maybe just 1 minute, in terms of the sum total of the populace that's living within the borders of territorial Haiti, more than half are living below poverty lines. 3,000 have been murdered, 1,500 in excess of that have been captured and kidnapped for ransom. So there's a lot of chaos that's going on there. Are we prepared for that? Have we done good enough studies to think of appropriately optimizing our capacity to meet those particular challenges in Haiti?
All right, well, that is a good question, and of course, hold on to that thought. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at, the capacity, if actually Kenya, we have the capacity to actually succeed in this mission. So that discussion will be coming to you in just a while. But first thing, let's take this short break.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swaibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa Kutv, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Can Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Welcome back, and thank you for keeping it Primetime News. Now the discussion continues here, and of course we were talking about the nitty-gritty, the Kenya, when we talk about the capacity of Kenya to actually succeed in a nation that many would probably consider to be a failed state. Do you think Kenya can actually succeed in this when you take into consideration a lot of factors? When you look at the capital city, it is reported that at least 80% controls that one. And we have issues to do with the language barrier, some of the things that our soldiers, or rather our police officers, will still have to deal with that in a very different and unfamiliar terrain.
Well, Mr. Uma, what you've spoken to are very interesting factors, and it's an interesting question and concern as well. If you go into the rigmarole of addressing yourself to the considerations that you need to actually have at your fingertips before you actually commit to, let's say, war, what we call a battle area evaluation. It contains all of these things. So you do what we call combat estimates in the army. It's a very thoroughly done, meticulously done process. It takes quite some time. It takes quite some and your surgical analysis of a lot of playing, variables and factors at play, up and including what you just talked about in terms of language. So all these things are considered, because at the end of the day, it's not just you going out to push the muzzle of the gun, but you also need as well, and this is where the language also comes in, to win the hearts and minds of the people themselves, so that you encourage buy-in. War it's not just a physical, physically manifested stuff. It's also emotional. All these things come into play, and psychologically as well, because the aspirations of the people that you're also going to say, hey, here's a cake because someone took it away. You need to connect with them, and you need to actually address yourself to their hopes and aspirations. And so language is important. The other bits that also come into consideration are, the things that you just mentioned, so that when you go in, you have the full picture. Let me summarize it as that. That takes time. That takes quite some deep analysis of all these playing variables, and to a point where it's got to be known by not just the bosses at the top and the few individuals at the top, but everybody that are going to take part on the operational matters at the bottom. So the tactical end. We call it thoroughness in situational awareness by everybody. So the tactical situations are known by everybody, the strategic situations and the intents are known by everybody. My concerns are, from where I sit, what I see, it could be a rushed process that we have not considered that. Because from where we sit, we also have, and I'm sure you do have, the police that are doing a very good job in terms of providing public safety for this country. Are our sisters, brothers, and we are related to people here and then. You got friends, I got really, really good friends. And so when people talk and there's all this transmission of information and communication, you have the sense that they may not have that thoroughness in understanding. They may not have the language in itself. And those are things that you can train up very quickly, and you start to know, is it Portuguese or French? It's not a language that, and predominant within the borders, actually it's a shame, but we still have difficulties, and we have a level of animosity even between the citizenry and our police as it is, even when we are connected by commonness in terms of the language, for that matter. But FedEx that have a world away, and all of a sudden you're in this country that's lawless, as you're calling it, and beyond that, there's a president that has just been butchered, assassinated, and so there's a level of shored up confidence on the part of those faceless individuals that did commit to that. And killing a president is not just child play. And so with what Magaji, the algebra of aggression in 1982, did talk about the habit strength factor. So the habit strength of those learned experience that have bolstered someone's behavior because they've not seen it, the punishment has not been addressed. So they're feeling a bit bolder, for that matter. So then you have individuals who go into that space and they are dropping in with some incapacity that we are talking about here, even just the matters of terrain considerations that you don't know this and that. Those are very important factors to consider. So in the grand scheme of things, when we talk capacity, we can also drag in some, learnings that we had. I'm proud to have been on TV in 2017, national TV, one of the stations I won't mention because I'm on a different one. And there was a huge indictment on our National Police Service, and I graciously and humbly submitted to the then IG, albeit on national made TV, that it would be nice, much as that report was a huge indictment on our NPS, it would be nice to actually take it to a bit of seriousness and do a bit of introspection. I'm talking about a report that was done in 2017, and that came out around in November or thereabouts, by World Internal Security and Police Index, WISPI, in conjunction with IP, the Institute of Economics and Policy, that ranked our National Police Service as third worst in the world. And the domains that were considered then, this is 2017, were what we just talked about, capacity, and there was processes, there was legitimacy, and there was outcomes. If you consider these domains, and someone ranked you, Mr. Uma, as the third worst performing journalist on KUTV, you'd be walking with a lot of eggs on your face. But that said, if that was correctly done and you give and take, there's always the margin of error. That was a huge indictment. And if you are talking processes, we all know the admission of the IG currently said our officers are actually corrupt. So that speaks to some of the processes that could actually be affecting the choice of the raw material that gets into the service and possibly then impacting the products at the back end of things. That's just processes alone. But if you consider the other things in terms of professionalism and of course the preparedness, the optimization of the service to do a proper job, we could possibly be looking at this space and we are working off a wrong picture of the reality perhaps, and maybe just being a bit more boisterous.
Okay.
And it may need for us to consider these things clearly in the face of these challenges that we're facing in order to wed ourselves to the correctness in terms of application and again in terms of resolving a situation at hand with proper analysis of those challenges themselves.
All right. Well, when you talk about preparing and for the eventuality that might actually arise, well, when you look at the reality now in Haiti, the gang itself, it's reported that at least 162 different group of gangs against 3,000 police officers countrywide. When you look at the glim statistics itself as it is, well, do you think this is something like it's like you're walking into an ambush as a soldier, of course, because you know what is happening, all these areas and the danger ahead, and still
Well, that is a job that we take very honorably. That's a job that we take very boldly. You don't pray for a weaker back. We pray for a stronger back. But that said, look, there's always inherent risks in every operation, and people sign up for those jobs. And I'm very certain that the members of the NPS that went out there to look for those jobs, 9 out of 10 they expected themselves to be signing up for something that meant that they would possibly put their lives on the line in order to take other lives. The business of soldiering, to a huge extent, is that you actually could go to a point where you pay with your own life. That's the ultimate sacrifice. When I became a paratrooper, we all knew that we were going to jump with the pieces of nylons on our backs, but that did not stop us from trying for the parachute regiment and possibly going higher to become special forces operators, which is the tip of the spear. So there's always those operational risks to consider. If anything, that would be a field day. That would be a nice game and a day in office. If you were to ask me if it was us that were chosen, and I'm very certain if it was pushed in the doorstep of the special forces, they would be happy to go there to answer that call. But that said, there's a level of keenness to address ourselves to the correct reality, which is, are we really able to do this? Do we have the capacity to do this? So all these things that I'm talking about are addressing themselves to this reality, the true picture of the reality, that these are the considerations around the enemy force, if you may, that you're going to deal with. So we always treat the enemy with quite a lot of respect. You don't just say, oh, we're going to finish them. Because there'll be things, if you do that, that level of mysteriousness can get you into a place where you don't get to respectfully analyze all the factors at play. You could be walking into the ambush that you're talking about right here. So the 162 gangs, the 3,000 policemen, that would be very good information and intelligence to someone who's going to analyze that and say, hey, how do we then coin the best courses of action to combat this? How do we turn the populace against these people? How do we encourage a full buy-in? And if you went back to the lessons in a mountain of research findings, so Joan Deltums of this world, the Magages of this world, the Robert Martins of this world, the theories of deviations in terms of just behavior, and what could cause people to provide that fodder to be recruited among the gangs. So you'd want to mop out those, and drain the wells of the people that would still look at those, criminals and say, oh wow, they could actually be having a field day, so why not join the ranks? So what we're trying to say here is, and in a nutshell, is that answering to a call of duty like that is one thing, but it's a different ballgame altogether. Going into it completely, blindfolded. So, knowledge dispels fear. So thoroughness in getting to know exactly what you're dealing with is really, really important. Of course, addressing ourselves the big picture, what's in it for us, and what's in it for them as the brothers that we are trying to hold their hands.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Because of time, we'll leave it at this point. Thank you so much. That was Byron Adera, the ex-Kenya Special Forces officer and security expert. Your time is all appreciated. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, now we proceed. Every 5th of October, the world commemorates Meningitis Day. The day, which was started in 2009, was set aside by the World Health Organization to create awareness about the condition. WHO estimates that at least 1.2 million cases of meningitis occur every year, claiming the level of the lives of 1 in 10 people suffering from the disease. Julian Ngaki tells us why the cases of meningitis continue to skyrocket despite numerous interventions. Take a look.
People living along Tana River have been urged to move to higher grounds, taking into consideration the warnings about the predicted impact of El Nino rains.
According to the World Health Organization, it is estimated that at least 1.2 million cases of meningitis occur yearly, with 1 in 10 people succumbing to the illness despite the treatment. The day was started in 2009 by a community of people affected by the disease, and today it is a global movement aiming to combat the ailment. But first, what is meningitis?
If in any case the cerebral spinal fluid gets into contact with germs, the microorganisms, the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, in any case it gets into contact with them, there'll be an inflammation. There'll be an infection, hence inflammation. So the infection will cause inflammation of the meninges.
Among the different types of meningitis, the highest global burden is seen with bacterial meningitis. The bacteria that cause meningitis are transmitted from person to person through sneezing, coughing, droplets of respiratory or throat secretions from carriers, or being in close contact with an infected person. At Kenyatta University, we meet James Mokua, a graduate of Kenyatta University and a victim of bacterial meningitis.
So I decided I should live in a
James contracted the disease in 2015 while sitting for an exam at Kisii University.
I was doing a mathematics paper. After 15 minutes, I heard that something has knocked me behind. Trying to look behind who has knocked me, I saw nobody. By the 20 minutes, the knocks were now becoming frequent and frequent. I could no longer even continue doing the exam. I just left the paper. Immediately I left home, I couldn't even open my eyes because the headache had become so severe and I couldn't want to see light at all.
Having no idea of what had befallen him, he sought for painkillers, which he notes relieved his pain for a whole week before being taken to Tenwek Hospital upon being diagnosed with the disease.
By 2017, I couldn't even read. You could even give me a phone. I look at it, don't know what to do with it, I return it to you. But back in 2018, that's when my brain fully regenerated. That's when I started now asking for the documents. I could look at them and know exactly how it was.
James narrates how the illness affected him. He says that he contemplated quitting his studies as the illness had paralyzed him. The disease also drained his family financially as the medical cover he was using could not fully cater for his treatment.
Back in 2019, I came to APDK in Nairobi. Then I saw somebody who was coming from the Office for National Council with Disability was a working class. That is the one which made me to think if that person can get out of office means he learned, then he was employed. Then I said that now by 2018 September, I decided let me go back to school and try looking whether I will go back to school. Unfortunately, the environment in Kisii is hilly, no ramp, no nothing. The environment was very unfriendly. I googled Kenyatta University Disability Services. I found the contact of disability office. I called. Luckily, the woman who received my call, she's the one who mentored me and told me there are even worse people than you who are here learning. I can hear you are speaking good English.
We engage engaged Dr. Brenda Ogutu, who explains how one contracts the disease.
Meningitis is inflammation of the meninges.
According to Dr. Brenda, a study conducted in 2020 on the prevalence of meningitis in the country stands at 2.04%, with Kenya ranked number 19 among countries mostly affected globally. She advises the public, especially mothers, to have their children vaccinated, as well as seeking urgent medical attention in case of any detection.
If in any case the cerebral spinal fluid gets into contact with germs, the microorganisms, the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, in any case it gets into contact with them, there'll be an inflammation. There'll be an infection, hence inflammation. So the infection will cause inflammation of the meninges.
The State Department of Public Health and Professional Standard Disease Surveillance and Response Unit under the Ministry of Health is also taking significant steps in the battle against meningitis. With support from WHO, the team has been working on the development of Kenya's National Meningitis Elimination Plan. Among the proposed pillars of the National Meningitis Elimination Plan include enhancing government ownership and securing financing for meningitis program, amplifying support and care for individuals affected by meningitis, and strengthening laboratory capabilities for precise diagnosis and addressing antimicrobial resistance. According to WHO, meningitis is one of the deadliest diseases globally. However, many have little or no knowledge concerning the illness. Therefore, doctors advise on seeking urgent medical advice in case of a symptom detection in order to prevent the disease. Julie Ongaki, KUTV.
Alright, still matters health. The Ministry of Health will be embarking on the novel oral polymyelitis vaccine type 2 supplemental immunization campaign from 7th to 11th October 2023. The campaign will be conducted in collaboration with Global Polio Eradication Initiative and other stakeholders, with focus on counties with the highest risk of polio transmission. The operation targets 3.1 million children under the age of 5 years and will happen in Nairobi, Kiambu, Kajiado, Machakos, Kitui, Tana River, Garissa, Lamu, Wajir, and Mandera counties. Meanwhile, senators want the fund disbursed to counties to be in line with the specific needs of particular county. Kakamega Senator, that is Boni Halwale, gave an example of the funds allocated in Nairobi County to fund the fertilizer program, where he said they are not in line with the needs of the county. The Senate plenary sittings today continue its discussion on the county additional allocation fund bill, calling for the proper use of fund allocated to the devolved units.
So people in Treasury are just sitting, sharing money meant for royalties. I know of certain people who are in positions of leadership in this country, and please, I beg you, don't ask me to substantiate. You go in the areas where they are leading, there are so many projects they are doing beyond shareable revenue. Because these people used to work high up in government, they know how this money is loaded. So they go to National Treasury, they tell them, add me here, and they're doing projects. And they look like they are real performers when it is theft of money.
Okay, now let's talk sports. Chicago Marathon 2022 champion Benson Kipruto is expected to defend his title in the upcoming Chicago 2023 Marathon schedule for Sunday this week. The 2021 Boston Marathon winner will be joined by the 2022 Valencia Marathon champion Kelvin Kiptum, alongside Bashir Abdi of Belgium and Dawit Wilde of Ethiopia, And US Galen Rupp Kipruto won the 2022 Chicago Marathon with a time of 2 hours, 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay, now from athletics to football. Newcastle thumped French, that is Paris Saint-Germain, in the first UEFA Champions League encounter match at the St. James Park Stadium since 2003. Miguel Almiron and Dan Burn, Sean Longstaff and Fabian Schär also scored for the Toons, while Lucas Hernandez scored a consolation goal for PSG. Defending champions Manchester City secured a 3-1 routine win against RB Leipzig in the ongoing UEFA Champions League. Okay, now the FIFA World Cup will return to Africa in 2030 after football governing body, that is FIFA, approved 6 countries to play host to the world's most prestigious football showcase. According to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, 3 different continents will host the World Cup for the first time in the competition's history. Paraguay, Argentina and Uruguay will host in South America. Spain and Portugal will host in Europe, and Morocco will host the tournament in Africa. Morocco will be the second country in Africa to host the prestigious football tournament after South Africa did it in 2010. Okay, now it's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in and of course keeping us accompanied in the last 1 hour or so. My name is Auma Evans. Sami Okelo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, it is a bye-bye and God bless you. Mtazamaji popote ulipo, unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show
inang'oananga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas